Hi everybody, welcome to the remote judging of YPS National Salon 2025. My name is Kishan Harwalkar and I am the secretary for this salon. For the YPS National Salon 2025, we have 4 sections, namely open color, open monochrome, nature and travel sections. And the salon has patronage from FIP. Before we start the remote judging session, let me first introduce you to the salon committee and the jury members. Ms. Anita Mysore is the salon chairman and she is also the director of YPS. And yours truly, Kishan Harwalkar, is the salon secretary. We have Mr. Madhu Kakde, who is the treasurer for the salon and he is also a director at YPS. Gopinath is the webmaster. So we have 4 reviewers who reviewed the pictures submitted in a different section. Mr. Chandrasekhar S, who is the reviewer of open color section. Kaushik Rao is the reviewer of monochrome section. He is also the director at YPS. Mr. Girish Anantamurthy is the reviewer of nature section, who is the vice president of YPS. And Ms. Prema Kakde is the reviewer of travel section and she is the secretary at YPS. Apart from this, we have an external support team which consists of Kaushik, who's also a director of YPS and is in charge of salon setup, and Manju Vikas Shastri, who is the president of the YPS as well, and he is in charge of the sponsorship for this salon. Mr. Raj Simha is in charge of catalog design. Mr. Chetan Rao Mane and Mr. Niladri Srinivasa are in charge of all the creatives that you see during the salon. Ms. Swati Shah is the social media coordinator. Mr. Rajaram KS is the coordinator for print media. Along with Mr. Girish Anantamurthy, who is also the print media coordinator and the vice president at YPS. And we have Girish Mayachari, who's in charge of the exhibition, and Mr. Subramanya CK, who's in charge of the logistics for the award. Now with this, let me quickly introduce you to the jury of the YPS National Salon. We have Mr. Gurdas Dua, who is the jury for open color, open monochrome and travel section. We have Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharyya, who is also the jury for open color, open monochrome and travel section. We have Mr. Ratnajit Chaudhary and Mr. Vinay Parelkar, who are the juries for nature section. And we have Mr. Arjun Harith, who is the jury for open color. Mr. Lakshminarayana AG, jury for open monochrome. Dr. Pramod Shanbag, who is the jury of nature section, and Mr. Padmanabha K G, who is the jury member for the travel section. I welcome all the jury members for the remote judging session. We received overwhelming response for this salon. So we had 190 authors who submitted images for YPS National Salon 2025, which consisted of 2,409 images. We would like to thank everybody for your participation towards this session. Thank you all. The esteemed jury for the travel section consists of Mr. Gurdas Dua, Mr. Padmanabha K G, and Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharyya. I'll give you a brief introduction to each of these esteemed jury members before we start the remote judging session. Mr. Gurdas Dua holds FIIPC, FBAF, AFIP, Honorable FPASP, Honorable GM-SAP and Honorable ADCC, is an internationally celebrated photographer whose creative journey began in 1989. With a strong dedication to education, a wealth of accolades and a significant portfolio of published work, He has earned recognition from esteemed global, local, and government organizations. As the founder director of Lens Maestro Group, he fosters skill development and global recognition for photographers worldwide. Gurdas has served as a jury member for prestigious competitions including HIPA in Dubai, Dodo magazine in Spain, FIAP World Cup, and Photographic Society of America contests, among others. He is a 5-time national award winner from Ministry of Information Broadcasting and Ministry of Tribal Affairs India, and was listed among the top 30 global exhibitors by National Geographic in 2008. His notable awards include Epson Color Imaging Award from Japan in 2004 and the Gujarat State Lalit Kala Academy Award in 2005. His work, with over 1,000 exhibitions and 100 awards, has been featured in global publications like Global Photographic Union magazine from Greece and Smart Photography. His notable articles include Get Set Go for Travel Photography in 2015 and How to Modify a Portrait to Photogenic in 2019. With that, I welcome Mr. Gurdas Dua to be an esteemed jury member. Then we have Mr. Padmanabha K G. Mr. Padmanabha, an ex-banker, began photography as a hobby during his college days over 30 years ago. His passion was ignited after winning the first place in an all-India photography competition by Konica Film Roll Company. Inspired by veteran photographers like Sri B. Srinivasa Sri, Rajagopal and H. Satish of YPS Bangalore, he pursued trekking and photography in the Himalayas and Western Ghats, undertaking 36 high-altitude treks and 3,300 plus trips to the Western Ghats. Padmanabha's expertise in landscape photography has earned him national and international distinctions, including EFIP and Master of Light, with awards in salons worldwide. His most cherished moment was receiving the Best Landscape Award from actor Sri Vishnuvardhan under YPS Bangalore's auspices. He has also travelled extensively to Iceland, Norway, Scotland, Switzerland, the Arctic Ocean, Tanzania, and Masai Mara for landscape and wildlife photography. Notably, his landscape photo of Kudremukh was selected among 7,000 entries in an international competition by a leading corporate in Coimbatore. Padmanabha credits YPS Bangalore for guiding and supporting his remarkable journey in photography. With that, I welcome Mr. Padmanabha K G to be an esteemed jury member. Then we have Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharyya. Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharyya is associated with the Research and Technology Department of a renowned paint company and has deep passion for playing with colors. His journey in photography began in 2004 with his admission to the Photographic Association of Dum Dum, Kolkata. He achieved his first salon acceptance in 2008 and has since garnered over 3,000 international acceptances from 87 countries. He holds photographic distinction from all 8 international bodies, a testament to his dedication and skill. Photography has provided him with stress-free life and continually inspires him to think outside the box. With that, I welcome Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharyya to be an esteemed jury member for the travel section. With that introduction of judges, we will start the remote judging session for the travel section of YPS National Salon. We'll now announce the results for the travel section of YPS National Salon 2025. For the travel sections, we had 594 pictures coming from 152 participants. The juries have scored all the images and have chosen 15 best pictures to be awarded. And the awards include 1 FIP medal, 3 YPS medals, YPS gold, YPS silver, and YPS bronze. And we have 1 YPS Young Talent Award. And we have 5 FIP honorable mentions and 5 YPS honorable mentions. So without much delay, let me announce the winners for the travel section of YPS National Salon 2025. The FIP medal goes to Mr. Pradeep GCM from Youth Photographic Society, Bangalore, and the title of the picture is Jallikattu 08. The YPS gold goes to Mr. Ganesh Namdev Memane from Mumbai, Maharashtra, and the title of the picture is Bappa Khetwa Dicha. YPS silver goes to Mr. Dibyendu Das from Silchar, Assam, and the title of the picture is One Final Kiss. YPS bronze goes to Mr. Shovanthara from Bangalore, and the title of the picture is Gurudevan Theyam. YPS Young Talent Award goes to Achintya Murthy from Youth Photographic Society, Bangalore, and the title of the picture is Yellora 1693. We have 5 FIP honorable mentions. The first FIP honorable mention goes to Mr. Abhishek Basak from Kolkata, West Bengal, and the title of the picture is Kulasai. The second FIP honorable mention goes to Mr. Partha Roy from YPS. The title of the picture is Veins of Fire. The third FIP honorable mention goes to Sudhir Nazare from Morud Janjira, Maharashtra, and the title of the picture is Aklijwari Ramnath. The fourth FIP honorable mention goes to Ms. Happy Mukherjee from Uttarpara district, Hooghly, West Bengal, and the title of the picture is Fish Drying Process 3. The fifth FIP honorable mention goes to Mr. Shamik Basu from Baruipur, West Bengal, and the title of the picture is Visarjan. We have 5 YPS honorable mentions. The first YPS honorable mention goes to Mr. Vadivelu TT from Chennai, and the title of the picture is Singapore in Morning Light. The second YPS honorable mention goes to Mr. Shekhar Mangaonkar from the Photographic Society of India, Mumbai. The title of the picture is Dusty Wildlife. The third YPS honorable mention goes to Shayantani Basu from Kaleidoscope Photography Club, Kolkata, and the title of the picture is Har Har Mahadev. The fourth YPS honorable mention goes to Shashank Ranjit from the Photographic Society of India, Mumbai, and the title of the picture is Pangong 2. The fifth YPS honorable mention goes to Raju Ponanganti from Karimnagar, Telangana, and the title of the picture is Jogini Punakam. A big round of applause and congratulations to all the 15 award winners.